Wednesday, March 11, 2026, and we do have a quorum present. We're going to mix up the agenda order here a bit to make sure that any non-professionals who are present to testify have an opportunity to do so. We're going to start with Senator Lang's bill, Senate File 3938 on trafficking. Senator Lang, tell us about your bill, please.
As soon as I find it, Mr. Chair, I will do that. I appreciate the willingness to go as quickly as possible, and I'll try to abide by that.
If you need me to grab it real quick, it's SF3839.
It's in here. I know it's in here.
And I believe we have a constituent of yours, Jamie Bremseth, online as well.
That is correct, Mr. Chair. Maybe I probably left it sitting. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair. So before you today and the Senate Judiciary members, I have Senate File 3938, which is a piece to a puzzle, Mr. Chair. I know that I've talked to you in the past, and I want to thank my co-authors on another bill, Senate File 281, that we talked rather extensively, Senator Mayquade, myself, and Senator Gustafson. We've been working on this one for a couple of years, and this is kind of a piece to that puzzle, 3938. Really, it has allowed for, and again, thank you for your time in talking to me with that, Mr. Chair, allowed for a way to prosecute people that offer or perpetrate the crime of sextortion, and doing so online in particular. I'm glad I'm here, Mr. Chair, today, but I kind of wish I didn't have to be. And the people sitting here and testifying with me today offer an opportunity for an education piece. This bill in front of you today is the education piece that we've talked about. And Mr. Chair, I do have, I believe there is an amendment that's floating around that I would take under consideration as well. I was contacted by the Department of Health yesterday on some concerns about specific language when it comes to one group and one group openly. So I'm open to that amendment. But Mr. Chair, as far as this bill is, it's a straight appropriation for an education piece. And to really give you a better idea what that education piece looks like, I should probably let my testifiers talk about it.
All right, members, the plan is to lay this over since we don't have any budget in place yet for any appropriations. But let's hear from the testifiers, and we'll start with Ashley Moore. Go ahead and identify yourself and your affiliation and present us with your testimony. I only ask that you be as focused as you can, please.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for sharing time with me today. My name is Ashley Moore, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called CAST, Citizens Against Sex Trafficking. And before you, we have a bill requesting $125,000 for our largest and fastest growing program called Power Over Predators. The reason we're asking for this funding bill is because since we've started since 2017, we have been entirely funded by the community. And we're at the point now where demand is outpacing our capacity. And in order to reach all Minnesotans who are ready for our preventative services, we need financial support. And so we ask for your time and consideration. So our mission at CAST is to empower our community to end sexual exploitation. We define sexual exploitation at CAST as causing harm sexually for gain. Gain could be something tangible, something of commercial value, like money. It could also be something intangible, like power, control, popularity, or acceptance. And so when we work to prevent all forms of sexual exploitation, there are hundreds of subcategories that include sex trafficking, trading your body for something of commercial value through force, fraud, or coercion, or in the state of Minnesota, by any means. It also includes things like sextortion, blackmailing over intimate images. We are seeing that sextortion is impacting our youth as young as 3rd and 4th grade. We also navigate things like deepfakes, using AI to generate intimate images, where someone will take a school photo, sports photo, or social media post, upload it to AI to generate an intimate image or video, and then either blackmail that individual with their likeness or upload it for online profit on a porn site. We're seeing that this is starting around middle school age. And so what we work to do is to prevent all forms of sexual exploitation, and we do that through education and training. We firmly believe that knowledge is power, and we want to make sure every person knows how to ask for help. know how to leave that party or that sleepover, know how to keep relationships that are healthy and not asking you to give something that is uncomfortable, unsafe, or illegal. And so we're wanting to ask for funding today for our largest and fastest growing program called Power Over Predators, or POP. It is a nationwide curriculum that teaches middle school, high school, and community members online safety, healthy versus unhealthy relationships, and how to ask for help if you need it. And for this program, we have a custom licensing agreement, and so we're allowed to add in Minnesota resources, statistics, and laws. And so we have been able to expand exponentially. We have doubled our programming who we've reached in the past every year for the past 4 years. We served 4,800 community members last year. We're expecting to serve over 8,000 this year. This information is preventing not only future victims, but also future offenders by helping them understand what is Minnesota law. How do you ask for help and make positive change? So we appreciate your time and consideration and happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Appreciate you being here today. Jennifer Flaherty.
Hi. I wrote mine down, just so you know, because for a matter of time. So good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jennifer Flaherty. I'm a survivor. Thank you for the opportunity to share. I am a 53-year-old survivor of many things. I was born on the east side of St. Paul to two 17-year-old parents who were already carrying the weight of generational alcoholism. From ages 7 to 11, I was molested by my grandfather. Those years of trauma shattered my sense of worth and left me with a deep, painful emptiness. As a young girl trying to survive that brokenness, I became promiscuous. At 13, I became pregnant and I had an abortion. At 14, I became pregnant again and I gave birth to my only child. My son's father abused me and I stayed with him for 10 years because everything that I had lived through convinced me that I was worthless. I was ashamed. I was unlovable. I was hopeless, truly hopeless. I couldn't see a way out. When I finally did leave, life didn't suddenly get better. A series of car accidents caused severe back pain, and in trying to cope, I fell into a 10-year drug addiction, another attempt to self-heal wounds that I did not know how to face. Why am I telling you this? Because my story is not unique. There are children in our schools right now who are living through the same vulnerabilities, the same silence, the same dangers that I faced. Power Over Predators gives our youth what I never had: education, language, and tools. It teaches healthy relationships. It teaches kids to speak their truth instead of hiding it. It teaches internet safety, one of the primary places where predators look for access to our kids. It teaches them knowledge and to recognize danger, the confidence to ask for help, and the understanding that their worth is not defined by what has happened to them. If I had been taught Power Over Predators as a young girl, I might have learned what healthy relationships looked like, understood that my story mattered, and known that I was priceless, not dirty and unworthy. And maybe I wouldn't have had to wait until I was 43 years old until I finally started the process of healing. Power Over Predators doesn't just protect our children. It interrupts generational cycles. It saves futures. It saves lives. And again, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for having the fortitude to share your story with us. Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
We have Jamie Bremseth online, members. Ms. Bremseth, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members, for hearing my testimony today. My name's Jamie, and I live in Olivia, Minnesota. I am married and have 3 kids. I am also a mental health professional, and I work with children and adolescents in 2 rural school districts in Minnesota. I also work in a mental health crisis facility. I interact with children and adults on a daily basis who are experiencing suicide ideation. On December 5th, my oldest son, Carter, died from suicide. After being unable to reach him and needing to talk to him, I ran home from my daughter's dance recital to find him laying on his bedroom floor. He had shot himself with his hunting rifle. To say I was in shock was an understatement. Carter did not experience depression or clinical anxiety. He was about the happiest kid you could imagine. He loved golf, his family, and friends, and had started to look forward to his future. The police conducted their investigation, and about 10 days after he died, we learned that he had been the victim of sextortion. On 12/4, the day before he died, he was first contacted by someone on Instagram posing as a 16-year-old girl. On the evening of 12/4 and into 12/5, they had fairly normal conversation back and forth with each other. At about 4 p.m. on Sunday, 12/5, is when the perpetrator first started asking him for nude pictures. Carter originally told her no. He said he wasn't comfortable with this. But this girl convinced him. She had been grooming him for this moment the entire conversation. We learned that it took less than 60 minutes from the time that he was asked for the nude to when I found Carter on his floor, which was at about 4:50 p.m. She shamed him, telling him she was going to send his nude picture to his friends. He begged her not to and followed her demands by sending her money. When she started asking for more money and he learned that she may have already sent out a picture, is when he first told her he was going to kill himself. To her credit, she told him not to. Instead, she said, "Just send me $50 more." I read the entire conversation between him and the perpetrator. The conversation started on Instagram, but she moved it to Snapchat. I saw his fear, panic, and shame. She absolutely tortured him. He begged her to stop more than once, but she didn't. In the last 4 years, I have learned more than I could ever have imagined about sextortion and the perpetrator's organized methods of targeting and preying on kids. I have spent hours of my time prepping material to educate adolescents and parents. I have traveled to multiple schools and community events, the last being in Alabama. I've met multiple groups of parents who have lost their sons to suicide because of sextortion. I believe there have now been close to 45 boys from our country who have died from sextortion. And these are the only deaths that have been reported. I personally know of another mom in Minnesota whose son died from suicide because of sextortion. Our children are being targeted, tortured, and shamed online. As a mental health professional, I hear often about kids getting bullied online, usually by their peers. I had multiple conversations with Carter, trying to educate him about the risks of sending nudes, the risks of bullying and coercion on social media. And despite my efforts, this still happened to him. We live in a very greedy world, and technology has made situations so much more complicated and scary. When people don't seem real, it can feel safer for kids online to interact with them. And this is a terrifying thought. We continue to work with the Minnesota BCA, who is investigating Carter's crime. Carter's perpetrators are from Nigeria, but the same scenarios happen in our state every single day. They do not all end in suicide, but kids especially do not deserve to be extorted, coerced, or otherwise blackmailed. Carter is never coming back. I imagine that some of you are parents, and I challenge you to put yourselves in our shoes and imagine having to face that reality every single day. It is a heartache that does not end. One of the ways that our family has chosen to move forward is by creating a memorial foundation for Carter to advocate for children and adolescents. When we know better, we can do better. And it is absolutely heartbreaking to have learned just how many parents and kids are dealing with issues of sextortion, similar and different to Carter's situation. So many parents have reached out to me to gain support for themselves and their kids and adolescents once they've been targeted. Children and adolescents should not have to face these risks, and parents should not have to lose their kids because criminals are blackmailing them. As parents, it is always our job first to educate and protect our kids. This is why our foundation is working so hard to spread awareness. But I hope as legislators you will help us in this task. Parents and kids need education so that they understand the risks. I also hope you can do your part in healing and holding people accountable who commit these crimes. People who knowingly target our most innocent and vulnerable populations need to face consequences that fit the devastating nature of their crimes. Thank you for your time and attention in this matter.
Thank you, Ms. Brumseth, and we're so sorry for your loss. And thank you also for your fortitude in sharing your story with us here today. Senator Lang, did you have anything else you wanted us to know before we open the floor for questions? Or should we
No, Mr. Chair, I just appreciate the opportunity again to be in front of you today. Again, I wish we didn't have to go down this route, but with technology and advancements, and the state's probably a little behind the power curve when it comes to prosecution, and awareness is really a key part of what we're trying to accomplish here, so I appreciate it.
Do any members of the committee have any questions or comments at this time before we lay the bill over? Senator Holmstrom.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to offer up the A1 amendment, just simply requesting that this goes through an RFP process as opposed to a direct appropriation to a specific organization.
Staff is handing out the A1 amendment. Senator Lang, are you aware and familiar with this amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it was brought to my attention yesterday afternoon, and it really doesn't affect the nature of the bill other than maybe making one extra step for the individuals that are looking to help our kids, but I think it's probably more aligning with procedure to do it this way, so I view it as a friendly amendment.
Any discussion on the A1 amendment? Not seeing any. Senator Holmstrom moves adoption of the A1 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Anything further from the committee on this bill? Thank you, Senator Lang, and to your testifiers. Senate File 3938 as amended is laid over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Senator Latz, you have your bill, Senate File 3805, and I believe we have an A1 authors amendment.
I move adoption of the A1 amendment.
All in favor of adoption of Senator Latz's A1 authors amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. The amendment is adopted. To your bill, Senator Latz, as amended.
Madam Chair and members, as you know, we have struggled over the years to find sufficient funding for crime victim services, especially in light of the federal cuts that we've experienced over the last number of years. This is an effort to give all Minnesota taxpayers an opportunity to contribute to supporting crime victims in Minnesota through a tax donation checkoff. Many of you have heard of the Chickadee checkoff, which helps fund the Non-Game Wildlife Fund in Minnesota. This would operate in a similar fashion, and I ask you to support this effort here. Excuse me, this effort.
Thank you, Senator Latz. We have a few testifiers. Katie Kramer and Nikki Engel, you can come forward. Ms. Kramer, when you're ready, you can identify yourself and begin your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. I'm Katie Kramer, Co-Executive Director of Violence Free Minnesota, the Coalition to End Relationship Abuse. We're a membership-based organization with over 90 member programs serving victims and families of domestic and sexual violence in every corner of our state. We're here in strong support of Senate File 3805, which addresses a long-standing problem domestic violence programs have experienced, a lack of stable funding for crime victim services. This bill is supported by all 6 statewide crime victims coalitions: Violence Free Minnesota, the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault, the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition, Mending the Sacred Hoop Coalition, the Minnesota Alliance on Crime, and the Minnesota Children's Alliance. Federal funding for crime victim services is based on money derived from federal prosecutions. This fund has always been volatile, but since 2018, the fund has steadily declined. The state of Minnesota has recognized this funding drop and done a good job at stepping up to keep many of our programs at level funding. And we're all aware that $1 in 2026 does not go nearly as far as $1 in 2018. While the cost of living has increased dramatically in the past 8 years, we've now learned from the Office of Justice Programs that federal crime victim services funding will see a $12 million cut in our next
fiscal year. That's another 20% cut in crime victim services funding. Our programs are a critical component of the public safety, housing, education, and healthcare ecosystems in our state. Last year, our state took a great step towards addressing the long-term funding needs of survivors. Bipartisan legislation established the Minnesota Victims of Crime Account, or Minnesota VOCA, and we thank you for that effort. This special revenue fund currently draws from multiple sources to provide steady funding for our programs and is administered by the Office of Justice Programs. The platform built into the Minnesota VOCA is an important long-term step to dedicated funding, but the money designated for the Victims of Crime account will not stabilize the funding for our services anytime soon. About $1.5 million per year will enter the account, which is about 10% of the federal funding reduction for 2027. Senate File 3805 is one of the ways that we can address this existing funding crisis. The bill will allow voluntary, tax-deductible donations to be made directly into the Minnesota VOCA account. This will help diversify the financial support for our programs and add to the funding sources available to crime victim services. This will create a financially responsible and voluntary tool to fund critical public safety services for our state. In your packets, you have letters from several victim service providers with the stories of how they have helped community members and how funding challenges have forced them to reduce or eliminate life-saving services. The letter from 360 Communities, a Dakota County program, highlights that they housed 231 individuals last year at their shelter, over half of whom were children. They served 2,133 individuals, helping them achieve safety free from abuse and violence. Someplace Safe, serving 9 counties in western Minnesota, served over 4,000 survivors last year. Survivors have called Someplace Safe advocates a gift and credited them with saving the lives of survivors and their children. Think Self, a Twin Cities-based program that serves the entire state, provided specialized services to ensure that the deaf and hard of hearing survivors in our state have access to the same high-quality advocacy service that are available to the hearing population. Reducing their funding further puts the continuation of this service in jeopardy. These are just a few examples of successes from our member programs. They all also have stories about the services that they've had to cut back on or eliminate altogether. Programs have consistently reported losing qualified and passionate advocates to employment companies like Walmart and McDonald's because they provide a higher rate of pay. The question for many Minnesota legislators is no longer what are we willing to invest in, but what are we going to lose next? If no action is taken and crime victim services receive a 20% reduction in public funding, programs will close, services will be reduced, and survivors will go without the advocacy, care, and support that they deserve. Please support Senate File 3805. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Is Nikki Engel here?
She is not, actually. Thank you. My colleague Vic Pickering is here with Mincasa.
Victoria Pickering, can you please come forward, state your name, and begin your testimony?
Thank you so much. My name is Victoria Pickering, and I am the Training and Technical Assistance Director for the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I want to say thank you to the chair, thank you to the members of the committee for this opportunity to speak today and express our support for Senate File 3805. My colleague from Violence Free Minnesota and the numerous victim service providers who submitted letters in support of this bill have provided you with a stark picture of the current funding crisis faced by advocacy organizations across the state. So today I want to talk to you about how things may change for victims and survivors if the current funding landscape does not improve. I've spent more than 20 years working with survivors of sexual and domestic violence. I've seen firsthand what advocates and other victim service providers can do for the lives of those who've been impacted by trauma. Without the critical services that our member programs provide, survivors are going to face a very different reality in Minnesota. After a sexual assault occurs, the first place that a survivor actually sees an advocate is often at the hospital. But we know that many survivors are never going to make it to the hospital without an advocate, because it was an advocate who answered the phone at 3 in the morning, helped the survivor find care in their local community, and reassured them that they wouldn't have to pay for their sexual assault exam. Without crisis lines, that phone call goes to a recording. Maybe the survivor calls back in the morning and gets the information that they need. If the survivor does eventually find their way to the ER, it's often the advocate who meets them there, who supports them through the 3 to 6 hour long process of having a medical forensic exam. Without hospital advocates, that survivor may not learn that there are options like crime victims reimbursement that can cover the cost of expensive HIV prevention medication. They may choose to forego that treatment. If the survivor decides that they want to report to law enforcement, advocates are there to walk them through the process, to remind them that the questions they're going to get asked are going to be difficult, reassuring them that it's okay to say, I don't know, or I don't remember. We're there to debrief with them after that first difficult interview with the detective. Advocates are there to check in with investigators and get case updates so that survivors can focus on the real work of healing and living their day-to-day lives. Without advocates, the survivor might feel like they don't matter to the people handling the case. They might struggle to take time away from work to answer their phone when the detective calls. When the survivor gets a new phone number because the person who assaulted them won't stop texting, the advocate might not be there to remind them to give that new phone number to the detective. They might not hear back from the police and decide it's easier to just stop engaging altogether. Without advocates, these cases stall, they get put on hold, and they fall through the cracks. These are just a few of the examples of what can happen when victim service organizations don't have the support and funding needed to maintain services. In addition to the direct services that advocates provide to survivors, they also provide education in schools. They work with criminal legal system partners to improve response protocols. They train law enforcement on trauma-informed response and conduct outreach so that our community members know where to turn when they or their loved ones experience violence. And we know that silence, isolation, and lack of accountability all can come when advocates are not present. Those are the things that hinder healing and recovery from trauma. So we are asking you to support this legislation as just one part of a larger commitment to ensuring that survivors have the support they deserve here in Minnesota. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pickering. Any questions or comments from members of the committee? Senator Latz, final thoughts.
Madam Chair, I ask for your support. I believe this has to go to the Tax Committee from here, so I move that Senate File 3805 as amended be recommended to pass and be re-referred to the Senate Taxes Committee.
All right, Senator Latz has moved that Senate File 3805 as amended be recommended to pass and referred to the Committee on Taxes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say no. The motion prevails and the bill is on its way.
Thank you.
Our next bill will be Senate File 3871, Senator Oumou Verbeten, who is online. Senator Oumou Verbeten, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to be very brief. This bill is an agency bill from the Office of Justice Programs in the Department of Public Safety, and it does just a few things, technical corrections that really do enhance crime victims' rights. So first, it will ensure victims are notified of plea hearings and sentencing hearings, protect victims' identities in certain prosecutor petition documents, and require that victims be notified if an offense is eligible for automatic expungement. And we have the OJP director, Kim Babine, here to also provide more information. Thanks.
Welcome to the committee. Go ahead and identify yourself and your affiliation and present your testimony, please. And just for housekeeping purposes, this will be our last bill today. Any of you who are here for the other bills on the agenda, I apologize. We had a long floor session, got squeezed for today's agenda. Your bills will be rescheduled. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. My name's Kim Babine, and I am the Executive Director of the Office of Justice Programs at the Department of Public Safety. There are 5 provisions in this bill related to crime victims. Three can be regarded as technical, so I'm going to go a little out of order. The first is protection of victim identity and sentence adjustments. The second is protections for minor victims, and there's also some protections against employer retaliation. The more substantive changes are to give notice to a victim when an offense is eligible for automatic expungement. This proposal would expand the circumstances where the prosecutor is required to notify the victim that an offense is eligible for automatic expungement. Currently, when a prosecutor notifies a victim of the contents of the proposed plea agreement, they must also notify them of the eligibility of the offense for the expungement. There's no similar notice requirement for situations where the outcome of the case is a conviction or dismissal in the absence of a plea agreement, or if the defendant is acquitted. And the last piece is ensuring victim rights at plea and sentencing hearings. This proposal would establish a procedure during plea and sentencing hearings that places the requirement on the judge to inquire of the prosecutor if the victims have been notified of the hearing, are present, and have received their statutorily required notifications and wish to be heard. The purpose is to ensure that crime victims' rights and presence are recognized in the courtroom, and that those who wish to have input, whether objecting to a plea agreement, providing a victim impact statement, or having their positions conveyed to the court through the prosecutor, are given that opportunity. I moved quickly for the sake of the committee, but happy to go into more specifics if there are any questions.
I do have a question for you, Ms. Babine. Has it been your experience, or do you have information to believe that victims have not been receiving the statutorily required notifications?
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I have our Crime Victim Justice Unit Director, Suzanne Elwell, here, who can provide more specifics, but we have heard from time to time that victims have not been informed, and so this would add another step to ensure that victims are made aware of their rights.
All right, thank you. If there's any data on that, you can submit. We don't have to have it by testimony right now, but that'd be helpful to know. It's a little distressing to me that it's the state's obligation to notify victims. It's distressing to me that if they're not following that law.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Can do.
Any other questions or comments from members of the committee? The plan is to lay the bill over. I don't see any other questions or comments from the committee, so thank you for being in your testimony today. Senate File 3871 is laid over.
Thank you.
Members, we're just going to have to reschedule the other bills. Announcements, we will meet Friday morning, March 13th at 8:30 at Senate Building, room 1200. Until then, we are adjourned. Thank you, members.